All right, I thought we might take a look at the newest book that we are studying in the Bible, the book in English called Deuteronomy, or in Hebrew, Devarim, the words. Usually the Parsha is named after one of the first and most important words in that particular Torah section, and this is no different, as these are the words that Moses spoke. It's interesting that the word Devarim can also be understood as Devorim, which is bees, and that's actually found in this Parsha when the Amorites rout the Israelites as if they were a swarm of bees. Also, the name Deborah, or Devorah, is also related to the same Hebrew root. So let's take a look, but first let's say the blessing over reading of the Torah. Blessed art thou, Hashem our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctifies us with his holy commandments and commands us to engage ourselves in the words of Torah. I'm using the Humash by Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch for this particular study, and it's one of my favorite commentaries. Here's how he starts off in the introduction to the book. Devarim Deuteronomy. The fifth book now records all that Moses had to tell his people because he was about to depart from their midst, and they would not have his guidance to carry out their mission in the land of which they would shortly take possession. Now the people are about to make the transition from constant influence by a central guiding power into a life of individualization in which, more than ever, the Jew needs to be constantly reminded of his calling. We believe we're not in error if we view this fifth book as a compendium of those laws that had to be particularly noted by both the authorities of the law and by every member of the nation, now that the nation was about to move from the wilderness into the land. Some people believe that Deuteronomy is the book that they found, I believe, in the reign of King Josiah. I guess they were cleaning out a Geniza or something to that effect, and they found a new book. Typically it is seen, in fact it's called Mishnah Torah, which is repetition of the Torah, and it's seen as a repetition of the laws, as kind of just enumerated, the laws which were important to the individual and the authorities who were going to govern those individuals, rather than necessarily all of the laws pertaining to the temple, etc. There are 200 commandments in the book of Devarim, only second to the book of Leviticus, which has 247. So 447 of the 613 commandments are contained in these two books, and about 1/3 are contained in the book of Deuteronomy. Some of these are repetitions of previous laws, and others are new concepts and new laws. For example, the Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one, is found in Deuteronomy 6:4. The prohibition against marrying the natives of the land of Canaan is also in this Torah portion. The blessings and curses recited at Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal, Deuteronomy 11:26, are new to Devarim. Then there are a number of repeated laws, such as the Ten Commandments in Deuteronomy 5:6-18, the commandment to fear and love God, Deuteronomy 6:2-5, and against idol worship, Deuteronomy 6:14 and 7:4. Once again, all of these being more or less applicable laws in the land and in our own lives, regardless of being in the land or not. This particular first portion of Devarim is actually called by the same name, Devarim, as are all of the first parshiot of each new book. This, of course, is the last book of the Bible, and we will begin reading anew during the High Holy Days, as we do each year. Some people do a triennial cycle, and we are currently in the third reading cycle, reading the last third of each parsha, with some exceptions. This is the 44th parsha in the Bible. There are only two laws in this particular first part. The law for the judges to not recognize a face in a trial. In other words, not to say, oh, this guy's my friend, I'm going to treat him better, etc. And of course, we're supposed to be the same way. We should not treat, for instance, in our jobs or daily lives, we should not treat our enemy or someone we dislike or look down upon, not from a better than them type thing, but just that, they're not our cup of tea, any different than we would likewise judge our best friend. The second law simply states that the judge should not be afraid of judging a particular individual. In other words, if you had Charles Manson, may his name be obliterated from the earth, in your courtroom, then you would not treat him any differently than you would somebody of a much kinder disposition. So I hope you enjoyed this. It was short, I know, but I think there are so many wonderful things about the Torah. I really enjoy reading the Torah. I wish that some of my friends that are not Jewish would be able to discuss these things, simply because there's so much beauty in the Torah. But unfortunately, when we see only one face in the Torah, it makes it very difficult to appreciate the other faces, I know. And I did want to point out that there is one verse that speaks about who is going over the Jordan, who is going into the land. And God basically tells Moses that it will be the young people, the ones who do not yet know the difference between good and evil. And this pretty much, if we consider God a compassionate and loving being, pretty much negates the idea of original sin, because this is the same thing that was said of Adam and Eve before they plucked the apple, which of course we know wasn't an apple, but that's always the vision that we see, the scenery. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, let me know in the comment section, and I'll try to do some more. I'm not specifically planning on starting a new series, and as you have seen in my other talks, I do tend to skip around and go from hither to yon. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. Hit that like button, and have a good week.